भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। So continuing with the Srimad Bhagavatam, discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 54, the marriage of Krishna and Rukmini. Text number 17 onwards. So yesterday we discussed how Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, put him on his chariot. They were going to Dwarka, and all these kings, Jarasan, Shishupal, and Shalva, and there's so many kings, demoniac kings, they all attacked Krishna. And Balramji had also come with Yadava army. So they all attacked Balram, Krishna, Yadava's army, and they got defeated big time, all the demons. And then Jarasandh is giving counsel to Shishupal. Oh, it's time and this and that, and let's all go back. we cannot win them right now. They're very powerful, and let's go back. So text 17 onwards. Shri Shukavacha. Evam prabodhito mitrayaschadyo agat sanugapuram hatashesha punaste api yayu swam puram dripa. Shukdev Goswami said, thus persuaded by his friend Shishupal, took his followers and went back to his capital. The surviving warriors also returned to their respective cities. Rukmi tu rakshasodvaham Krishna dvitsahan swasu prishto anvagamat Krishnam aksho hinya vrito bali. Powerful Rukmi, however, was especially envious of Krishna. He could not bear the fact that Krishna had carried off his sister to marry her in the Rakshas style. Thus he pursued the Lord with an entire military division. So there are many kinds of marriages mentioned somewhere in Bhagavatam. Rakshas style, Gandharva style, and the others. I'll try to search that. But this is Rakshas style means style. It's not that Krishna has become Rakshas. Rakshas style means they kidnap the girl and they marry her. So this style is called Rakshas style. Rukmi arshi susarabda shanvatam sarva bhujam prati jagye mahabahur danshita sharasanaha Ahtva samare Krishnam apratyuhyana chakrukminim kundinam cha pravekshayami satyam etat pravemi vaha. Frustrated and enraged, mighty armed Rukmi, dressed in armor and wielding his bow, had sworn before all the kings, I shall not again enter Kundin if I do not kill Krishna in the battle and bring Rukmini back with me. I swear this to you. So Kundin was the capital of Vidarbha. So this, Kshatriyas, they are very good in their making promises, and they keep their word. That's a thing. That's a special thing. So Rukmi spoke these angry words and then set off to pursue Lord Krishna as described in the following verses. So he took a vow. If I don't kill Krishna and bring Rukmini back, I will not come back to this capital city. Iti yuktva rathamaruya rasarthim brahasattvaraha chodyashvan yatha Krishna tasya samyugam bhavet. Having said this, he had mounted his chariot and told his charioteer, drive the horses quickly to where Krishna is. He and I must fight. Adyaham nishitayarabhane gopalasya sudurmate nishye viryam edam yena swasa me prasabham prita. This wicked-minded cowherd boy, infatuated with his prowess, has violently abducted my sister. But today I'll remove his pride with my sharp arrows. Srila Siddha Swami explains that Gopalasya actually meant of the protector of the Vedas, while Durmate means of whose beautiful mind is compassionate even towards the wicked. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that the real meaning of what Rukmini said is that today, fighting with Lord Krishna, Rukmini would relieve himself of his pretensions of being a great hero. So see how acharyas explain everything, that actually everything glorifies Krishna. But the demonic mentality people, they think they are abusing Krishna. Vikatmana kumatir ishwarasya pramanavit rathena kena govindam tishteti yatha vyap. Boasting thus, foolish Rukmi, ignorant of the true extent of the Supreme Lord's power, approached Lord Govinda in his lone chariot and challenged him, just stand and fight. So lone chariot means Balramji and the army, they did not interfere in this fighting because they were fighting alone. Single one-to-one combat was there. It appears from these verses that though Rukmi set out with an entire military division, he personally rushed up to Lord Krishna to fight with him. Dhanur Vikrishya Sudrinam Jagne Krishnam Tribhisharah Aha Chatrakshanam Tishta Yadunam Kulpansana. Rukmi drew his bow with great strength and struck Lord Krishna with 3 arrows. Then he said, "Stand here for a moment, O defiler of the Yadu dynasty." Srila Siddha Swami points out that Kulpansana may be understood as a combination of the words Kulpa, or master of the Yadu dynasty, and Amshana, or expert killer of the enemies. Acharya gives a grammatical detail that make this interpretation possible. So he's a master of the Yadu dynasty and he's a killer of the enemies. Now see the awkward situation for Rukmini. Her brother and her love, they're fighting against each other for Rukmini actually. So very, very awkward situation. Now what to do? But as a princess also, she cannot ask either of them to stop fighting. They both are acting as Kshatriyas. Yatra yasi sasaram me mushitva dvangshivadhavi arishyadya badam madna mayena kutiyodhina. Wherever you go carrying off my sister like a cow stealing sacrificial butter, I'll follow. This very day I shall relieve you of your false pride. You fool, you deceiver, you cheater in the battle. In his hysterical attack, Rukmi displays the very qualities he attributes to Shri Krishna. Every living being is part and parcel of the Lord and belongs to the Lord. Therefore, Rukmi was like a crow trying to steal the sacrificial offering meant for the enjoyment of the Lord. Yavan me hato bane shayitha muncha darikam smayan krishno dhanushitva shadbhir vivyad rukminam. Release the girl before you're struck dead by my arrows and made to lie down. In response to this, Lord Krishna smiled, and with 6 arrows, he struck Rukmi and broke his bow. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that in fact, Lord Krishna was meant to lie down together with Rukmini on a beautiful bed of flowers. But out of shyness, Rukmi did not directly mention this point. So acharyas, this is the beauty of acharyas and devotees. They do everything to glorify the Lord. They bring out the meanings that glorifies Krishna only. Ashtabhish chaturo vahan dvabhyam sutam dhvajam tribhi sarachanya dhanuradhaya Krishnam Vivyad Panchbhi. The Lord struck Rukmi's 4 horses with 8 arrows, his chariot driver with 2, and the chariot's flag 3. Rukmi grabbed another bow and struck Lord Krishna with 5 arrows. Testadita sharodhastu, chiched dhanu rachita, punarani adupadata, tadapi chinnadavyaya. Although hit by these many arrows, Lord Achyuta again broke Rukmi's bow. Rukmi picked up yet another bow, but the infallible Lord broke that one to pieces as well. See how precise their arrow shooting was. They would shoot the arrow at the bow and it would break. Parigham patti shamshulam charmasi shakti tomaro yadya yada yudham adatta tat sarvam so achinnad harihi. Iron bludgeon, 3-pointed spear, lance, sword and shield, pike, javelin, whatever weapon Rukmi picked up, Lord Hari smashed it to the bits. Tato ratha dav aplutya khad khang panir jighansaya krishnam abhidravat kruddha patanga eva pavakam. Then Rukmi leaped down from his chariot and sword in hand rushed furiously towards Krishna to kill him, like a bird flying into the wind. Tasya chapatat khangam tilash charma cheshubhi itva sima dade tignam rukminam hantum udyata. As Rukmi attacked him, the Lord shot arrows that broke Rukmi's sword and shield into pieces. Krishna then took up his own sharp sword and prepared to kill Rukmi. Drishtva bhratri vadodiyogam Rukmini bhaya vihvala patitva padayor bhartur uvacha karunam sati. Seeing Lord Krishna ready to kill her brother, saintly Rukmini was filled with alarm. She fell at her husband's feet and piteously spoke as follows. Shri Rukmini Uvacha, Yogeshwara Parameyatman Deva Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhasi Kalyana Bhratram Me Mahamcha. Shri Rukmini said, O controller of all mystic power, O immeasurable one, O Lord of lords, master of the universe, O all auspicious and mighty armed one, please do not kill my brother. See, this part is always there. Sisters and brother, this special relationship is always there. So she prayed to Krishna, don't kill my brother. Shri Shukvacha, Taya Paritra Savikampitangeya, Shuchav Shushyan Mukhrudha Kanteya, Katare Visrasit Hema Malaya, Grihita Pada Karno Nyavartat. Shukdev Goswami said, Rukmini's utter fear caused her limbs to tremble and her mouth to dry up, while her throat choked up out of sorrow. And in her agitation, her golden necklace scattered. She grasped Krishna's feet, and the Lord, feeling compassionate, desisted from killing Rukmi. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes a worldly rule that one's sister is the personification of mercy. Dayaya Bhagini Murti. Even though Rukmi was wicked and was opposed to his sister's best interest, Rukmini was compassionate towards him, and the Lord shared her compassion. Chailena badva tam sadhukarinam sashmashrukesham pravapan vayarupayat tavan mamardu parasanya madhutam yadu pravira nalinim yatha gajaha. Lord Krishna tied up the evildoer with a strip of cloth. He then proceeded to disfigure Rukmi by comically shaving him. leaving parts of his mustache and hair. By that time, the Yadu heroes had crushed the extraordinary army of their opponents, just as elephants crush lotus flower. Lord Krishna used his same sharp sword to give the wicked Rukmi a peculiar haircut. So he gave him a haircut, but he shaved his head, partly, not fully, and left part of his mustache and hair. Krishnatikam upavrijya dadarushustatra rukminim tatha bhutam hataprayam drishta sankarshano vibhu vimuchivadham karuno bhagwan krishnam abravit. But by that time Balramji came and he chastised Krishna. What are you doing? As the Yadus approached Lord Krishna, they saw Rukmi in this sorry condition, practically dying of shame. When the all-powerful Lord Balram saw Rukmi, he compassionately released him and spoke the following to Lord Krishna. So Balramji could release Rukmi. Nobody else could. Balramji is elder brother of Krishna. Asadvidam tvaya Krishna kritma sma jugupsitam apanam shmashru ashru keshanam varupyam suhrido vadaha. Lord Balram said, "My dear Krishna, you have acted improperly. This deed will bring shame on us, for to disfigure a close relative by shaving off his mustache and hair is as good as killing him." And that too, in front of Rukmini, he is doing that. Omniscient Balram knew that Rukmini was guilty party, but to encourage a lamenting Rukmini, he decided to gently reproach Shri Krishna. See, Balramji said, by shaving off his mustache and hair is as good as killing him. So, spiritually also, when in the temple, brahmacharis shave off their head, and in Vaishnava tradition, we shave off a mustache and beard also if somebody is having it, and we keep a shikha in the back. So basically it means socially, in the eyes of the society, we are figuratively dead. Means we have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. And the shikha on the back, it represents that we are servant of Krishna. Just like here, Krishna left some part of hair on Rukmi's head. It basically signified that he is my servant now. Or also, when Jayadratha tried to kidnap Draupadi, he almost did, and Arjun and Bhim captured him, brought him to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Bhima was saying, let's kill him. And Draupadi again pardoned him, but Bhima then shaved off Jayadratha's head, but left 5 shikhas on his head. So 5 shikhas actually meant he is a servant of 5 Pandavas. But after that, Draupadi told Jayadratha to bow down to Maharaj Yudhishthira and serve him like a servant. So as soon as Jayadratha bowed down, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, I'm forgiving you, I'm releasing you from any kind of slavery you think you are. So just go back. But Jayadratha, again, Kshatriya, it just disturbed him so much, that insult. He didn't go home. He went to Kailash, did tapasya and pleased Lord Shiva and got some benediction. But that's a long story. So the point is, this keeping of shikha, that signifies that we have accepted servantship of Krishna. Maivasman sadhya suyetha bhratru vairupya chintaya sukh dukkha na chanyosti yata swakrita bhakta puman. Saintly lady, please do not be displeased with us out of anxiety for your brother's disfigurement. No one but oneself is responsible for one's joy and grief, for a man experiences the results of one's own deeds. So Balramji is trying to now console Rukmini also because she must be crying and she must be in distress. Her husband and brother fighting and brother lost. So, and she had to go with Krishna, but she could not see the situation of Rukmini either. Bandhur vadahar dosho api na bandhavor vadham arhati tyajya svaneva doshena hata kem hanyate punah. Again addressing Krishna, Balram said, a relative should not be killed, even if his wrongdoing warrants capital punishment. Rather, he should be thrown out of the family. Since he has already been killed by his own sin, why kill him again? To further encourage Lady Rukmini, Balram again emphasized that Krishna should not humiliate Rukmini. Kshatriyanam mayam dharma prajapati vinirmita bhratrapi bhratra manyad yena ghora tamastata. Turning to Rukmini, Balram continued, the code of sacred duty for warriors established by Lord Brahma enjoins that one may have to kill even his own brother. That is indeed a most dreadful law. Lord Balram, in the interest of fairness, is giving a complete analysis of the situation. So the thing is, one should not kill one's relative. This is crazy. So only on the spiritual platform in pure Krishna consciousness can we transcend the unacceptable pain of material existence. Rukmini was maddened by pride and envy and thus could not understand anything about Krishna consciousness. But Balramji is telling Krishna, don't do this. This is not right. You're disfiguring Rukmini. Rajyasya bhumir vittasya striya manasya tejasa manino anyasya vaheto shrimand madandha chipantihi. Again, Balram addressed Krishna. Blinded by conceit with their personal opulence, proud men offend others for the sake of such things as kingdom, land, wealth, women, honor, and power. Lord Krishna was originally meant to marry Rukmini. All along, this was the best arrangement for all concerned. And yet, from the beginning, Rukmini had maliciously opposed this beautiful arrangement. When his sister's desire was finally fulfilled and she was taken by Krishna, he viciously attacked the Lord with vulgar insults and mortal weapons. In return, Lord Krishna tied him up and partially clipped his hair and mustache. While certainly humiliating for a puffed up prince like Rukmini, his punishment was a mere slap on the wrist, considering what he had done. So Balramji is saying he might be puffed up, but you have to be lenient. Tavayam vishma buddhi sarva bhuteshu duhridam yanmanya se sada bhadram suhridram bhadram agyavatam. To Rukmini, Balram said, your attitude is unfair. For like an ignorant person, you wish good to those who are inimical to all living beings and who have done evil to your true well-wishers. Atma moho nirnameva kalpate deva maya suhriddu hriddu dasina iti dehatma maninam. The Supreme Lord's Maya makes men forget their real selves and thus take in the body for the self. They consider others to be friends, enemies, or neutral parties. So this is what he is telling Rukmini. Ek eva parohiyatma sarve shamapi dehinam nanev griyate mula yatha jyotirita navaha. Those who are bewildered perceive the one supreme soul who resides in all embodied beings as many, just as one may perceive the light in the sky or the sky itself as many. Yatha Jyotir Yatha Nava introduces two analogies in which we perceive one thing to be many. Jyoti indicates the light of the heavenly body, such as the sun or moon. Although there is only one moon, we may see the moon reflected in pools, rivers, lakes, and buckets of water. Then it would appear as if there are many moons, although there is only one moon. Similarly, we perceive a divine presence in each living being because the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, although He is one. So Balram is trying to tell that don't to Rukmini that don't have false attachment for your brother. This is not right. But at the same time, he is chastising Krishna also. Dehyadiyantavanesha dravya prana gunatmaka atmani vidyaya kripta sansarayati dehinam. This material body, which has a beginning and an end, is composed of the physical elements, the senses, and the modes of nature. The body imposed on the self by material ignorance causes one to experience the cycle of birth and death. But actually, everything we see is in duality. This is not the right thing to see. As Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. Beyond the somewhat absurd theater of material existence is a real and meaningful world of Krishna consciousness, the liberated life of pure souls devoted in loving service to the Supreme Lord. So that is a reality. Here everything is Maya. Natmanonyena samyogo viyogascha satah sati tadhetutvat tat prasiddhera drig rupa bhayam yatharve. O intelligent lady, the soul never undergoes contact with or separation from insubstantial material objects, because the soul is a very origin and illuminator. Thus the soul resembles the sun, which neither comes in contact with nor separates from the sense of sight or what is seen. So soul is completely different from the body, should not behave on the bodily level. This is what Balramji is telling Rukmini also now. So plenty of philosophy going on the battlefield. Janmadayastu dehasya vikriyanatmana kvachit kalanam eva navendor mritir yasya kuhuriva. Birth and other transformations are undergone by the body, but never by the self. Just a change occurs for the moon's phases, but never for the moon, though the new moon day may be called the moon's death. So Lord Balram here explains how the conditioned souls identify with the body and how this identification should be given up. Certainly every ordinary person considers himself or herself young, middle-aged or old, healthy or sick. But such identification is an illusion, just as a waxing and waning of the moon is an illusion. When we identify ourselves with the material body, we lose our power to understand the soul. Yathashayan atmanam vishayan phalameva chanubhamte api satyarthe tathapano ti abudho bhavam. As a sleeping person perceives himself the objects of sense enjoyment and the fruits of his acts within the illusion of a dream, so one who is unintelligent undergoes material existence. Tasmad jnanajam shokam atma ashosha vimohanam tattva jnanena nirhritya swastha bhav shuchi smite. Therefore, with transcendental knowledge, dispel the grief that is weakening and confounding your mind. Please resume your natural mood of princess of the pristine smile. Lord Balram reminds Srimati Rukmini that she is the eternal goddess of fortune, performing pastimes with the Lord in this world, and should thus give up her so-called grief. Shri Shukvacha, Evam Bhagavata Tanvi, Ramena pratibodhita Vamanasyam parityajya mano buddhya samadade. Shukdev Goswami said, thus enlightened by Lord Balram, slender Rukmini forgot her depression and steadied her mind by spiritual intelligence. Pranavashesh utsrishto dvingbhirhat bal prabha smaran virupa karanam vitathatma manoratha chakre bhoja katamanama nivasaya mahatpuram. Left with only his life heir, means Krishna and Balaram, they took away all his weapons, cast out by his enemies and deprived of his strength and bodily radiance. Rukmi could not forget how he had been disfigured. This is Kshatriya. They just never forgive the person who insulted them. In frustration, he constructed for his residence a large city which he called Bhojakat. So he did not go back to Kundin, that was his promise, so he constructed his own city, Bhojkat. Because Kshatriya has to have something to rule over. They cannot just go to the forest and live like a beggar. Ahatva durmatim krishnam apratyuhuya yaviyasim kundinam na pravekshyami uktva tatrava sadrusha. Because he had promised, I will not re-enter Kundin until I have killed wicked Krishna and brought back my younger sister. In a mood of angry frustration, Rukmi took up residence at that very place, Bhojkat. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the word Bhoja means experience and that Kata, according to Amarkosh dictionary, means vow. Thus, Bhojakat is the place where Rukmi experienced misery as a result of his vow. Bhagwan Bhishma Kasutam Evam Nirjitya Bhumipan Puramaniya Vidhivat Upayeme Kurudvaha. Thus, defeating all the opposing kings, the Supreme Personality of God had brought the daughter of Bhishma to his capital and married her according to the Vedic injunctions of protector of the Kurus. See, although Rukmini was insulted and Krishna had kidnapped Rukmini, so Rukmini never held a grudge against Krishna, against her husband, that, oh, why did you insult my brother? This is what Balramji also taught Rukmini, that you forget about all this and go and live your life. If it was today, I mean, the ladies would, every day they would be telling their husbands, see, this is what you did to my brother, and still I came with you, and I'm living with you, and this and that. But Rukmini Devi never mentioned this thing again to Krishna. Tada mahotsavo nirinam yadupuryam grihe grihe abhudananya bhavanam Krishna yadupato nripa. At that time of king, there was great rejoicing in all the homes of Yadupuri, Dwarka, whose citizens loved only Krishna, chief of the Yadus. Nara naryasya muditaha pramrishta mani kundala paribar hamu pajahur varyosh chitra vasaso. All the men and women full of joy and adorned with shining jewels and earrings brought wedding presents, which they reverently offered to the exquisitely dressed groom and bride. Savrishnipur yutumbhitendra ketubhir vichitra malyambara ratna torane babho pratidvaryur uklabta mangalar apurna kumbha guru dhupa deepakah. The city of the Vrishnis appeared most beautiful. There were tall, festive columns and also archways decorated with flower garlands, cloth banners, and precious gems. Arrangements of auspicious full water pots, aguru-scented incense, and lamps graced every doorway. सिक्त मार्गा मद अच्युत भेर आहूत प्रेष्ठ भू भुजाम गजैर द्वा सुपरा मृष्ट रंभा पुगोपशोभिता. The city's streets were cleansed by the intoxicated elephants belonging to the beloved kings who were guests at the wedding. And these elephants further enhanced the beauty of the city by placing trunks of plantain and betel nut trees in all the doorways. See how whole Dwarka was decorated, because this was wedding of Krishna and Rukmini. Kuru Sranjaya Kakeya Vidarbha Yadu Kuntaya Mitho Mumudire Tasmin Sambhra Brahm Atma Paridhavatam. Those who belong to the royal families of the Kuru, Srinjaya, Kakya, Vidarbha, Yadu, and Kunti clans joyfully met one another in the midst of the crowds of people excitedly running here and there. Rukminya Haranam Shrutva Giyamanam Tatastata Raja no Raja Kanyasha Babhuvur Bhrishya Vismita. The kings and their daughters were totally astonished to hear the stories of Rukmini's abduction, which was being glorified in song everywhere. Dwarkayam abhutarajan mahamoda purokasam Rukminya ramayo petam drishtva krishnam shriya patim. Dwarka's citizens were overjoyed to see Krishna, the Lord of all opulence, united with Rukmini, the goddess of fortune. So this was the first official marriage of Krishna. So Rukmini is the official wife of Krishna here. And of course, all the Dwarkavaisis, they were overjoyed to see Krishna marrying Rukmini. So thus ends the about verse to 10th canto, 54th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Marriage of Krishna and Rukmini. So we still have time. We can start the next chapter, chapter 55, the history of Pradyumna. See, there's so many stories within stories, and these are all pastimes of Krishna. In this only canto, 10th canto only, we can see all that today's movies are made up of. I guess they steal all the stories from Bhagavatam only. Of course, they put their own masala in it, but everything is there. See, kidnapping is there, fighting is there, and this history of Pradyumna, this chapter when we study, we'll see how many things go on here in the world. Next one, Shri Shukavacha, Kamastu Vasudevanshu, Dagda Pragudra Manyuna, Dehopapatte Bhuyas Tameva Pratyapadyata. Shukdev Goswami said, Kamdev, Cupid, an expansion of Vasudeva, had previously been burned to ashes by Rudra's anger. Now, to obtain a new body, he merged back into the body of Lord Vasudeva. In his Krishna Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami cites the following verse of the Gopal Tapani Upanishad to prove that the Pradyumna, who is son of Krishna and Rukmini, is the same Pradyumna who is a member of Lord Krishna's eternal fourfold plenary expansion, the Chaturvyuha. So Krishna and Rukmini, they had a son, Pradyumna. They named him Pradyumna. But who is Pradyumna? Shloka, it says he was Cupid, Kamadev, who was burned to ashes by Rudra's anger. So this, I don't remember if it came in Bhagavatam, this story. So once Lord Shiva, he was performing his tapasya, but Kamadev was sent by Indra to break that tapasya, to disturb him. So Kamadev went, and Kamadev, as we see in the pictures, that he is always carrying his bow and arrows. Different arrows he keeps. So every arrow is supposed to activate some of the sense, because it has some sense objects that the senses attract to. So the Cupid or Kamadev, he shot I don't know, first arrow or second arrow, whichever arrow he shot when Rudra got disturbed. Shivji got disturbed. And Shivji got disturbed and he opened his third eye and he was seeking who is the one disturbing my meditation, and he saw Kamdev, and with third eye opened, he just burnt Kamdev to ashes. Now, without his body, he cannot function. He cannot do his job, his services properly. And this is his service, to disturb the meditation of people, or to bring out those lusty desires of people. So when he had no body, he was called Ananga, no Anga, no body. So now he's called Ananga. But still, he was given benediction by Shivji himself. Okay, even without the body, you will carry on with your duties. But again, don't come and bother me. But he had to have a body. He wanted to have a body. So that's why this shloka says, now to obtain a new body, he merged back into the body of Lord Vasudeva. And who is this Vasudeva? Now, Kamdev is a material person, material body. He cannot have spiritual body, but this Vasudeva or Pradyumna who is actually a spiritual body. This is what Jiva Goswami is explaining. There in Dwarka, the Almighty Lord Krishna resides in the company of his three plenary expansions, Balram, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna, and his potency, Rukmini. The Krishna Sandarbha goes on to explain with reference to the present verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that the Cupid of Kamdev, whom Rudra burnt up with his anger, is a demigod subordinate to Indra. This demigod Cupid is a partial manifestation of the prototype Cupid, Pradyumna, who is a plenary expansion of Vasudeva. Okay, so this Cupid is an expansion of Chaturvyuha, as we hear, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. So that Pradyumna came as son of Krishna. But this Cupid, whose original, just like Shivji and Sadashiva. Sadashiva is original and Shivji is expansion of Sadashiva in any universe. So the original Pradyumna, he expands himself as Cupid in this material world. So this Cupid in the material world, whose body got destroyed, whose material body got destroyed. So he entered with the original Pradyumna and he came as son of Krishna and Rukmini. Srila Prabhupada confirms the absolute status of Pradyumna, Lord Krishna's first son. Pradyumna and Aniruddha are also expansions of the personality of Godhead. And thus, they are also Vishnu Tattva. At Dwarka, Lord Vasudeva is engaged in his transcendental pastimes along with his plenary expansions, namely Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And therefore, each and every one of them can be addressed as a personality of Godhead. So they're all Vishnu Tattvas. According to Srila Sri Goswami, Pradyumna took birth from the womb of Rukmini before Shri Krishna's marriage to Jamvati and the Lord's other marriages took place. Subsequently, Pradyumna returned from Shambar's palace. So this story will go on later. But before Shukdev Goswami tells of Krishna's pastimes with his otherwise, he'll narrate the entire story of Pradyumna for the sake of continuity. Saeva jatu Vedarbyam Krishna Virya Samudbhava Pradyumna iti Vikhyatah Sarvato Anvama Pituhu. He took birth from the womb of Vedarbhi by the seed of Lord Krishna and received the name the Pradyumna. In no way he was inferior to his father. Tam Shambara Kamarupi Ritva Tokam Nirdasham Saviditvatmana Shatrum Prasyod Anvatyadgad Griham. Sorry. The demon Shambar, so there was a demon who could assume any form he desired, kidnapped the infant before he was even 10 days old. Understanding Pradyumna to be his enemy, Shambhar threw him into the sea and then returned home. So somehow Shambhar entered Dwarka and he kidnapped the infant, the first son in Dwarka of Krishna and Rukmini. He was kidnapped. See, all the movies, they make movies like this. Some person comes and kidnaps an infant baby. It happened with Krishna also. Everything happens there, and this is what perverted reflection we get in the material world. And even before he was even 10 days old. And what did he do? He wanted to kill him. So he threw him into the sea and went back to his house, Shambhar. According to Vishnu Puran, Pradyumna was kidnapped on the 6th day after his birth. So before 10 days, so he was on the 6th day he was kidnapped. So much of detail, precise details given in scriptures. Tam nirjagara balwan, meena suapi parasaha, vrito jalena mahata, grihito matsya jivibhi. Now, Shambhar thought he has killed Pradyumna, a 6-day-old child thrown in the sea. How is he going to survive? But no, Krishna wants to protect somebody, he can protect. A powerful fish swallowed Pradyumna. And this fish, along with others, was caught in a huge net and seized by fishermen. He was still saved. Tam Shambharaya Kavarta Upajuhuru Payanam Suda Mahanasam Nitva Vadyan Sudhinat Adbhutam. The fisherman presented that extraordinary fish to Shambhar. The demon who had thrown Pradyumna, Pradyumna was swallowed by a fish, and the fish came back to the palace of Shambhar by the fisherman, who had his cooks bring it to the kitchen, where they began cutting it up with the butcher knife, because the demons, they eat non-veg. Drishva tad udare balam, mayavatya nayavedyam, nardo kathyat sarvam, tasya shankita chetasa, balasya tattvam utpattim, matsya udara niveshanam. Seeing a male child in the belly of the fish, the cooks gave the infant to Mayavati, who was astonished. Narad Muni then appeared. Now, Narad Muni knows everything, what's going on in the whole universe, especially the pastimes of Krishna. Anything connected to Krishna, he is very much interested. So he knew where Pradyumna went. So Narad Muni came and explained to her. Explained to whom? Mayavati. Now, this is not the Mayavati of UP fame. Everything about the child's birth and his entering the fish's abdomen. Why this special connection there? Sacha kamasya vaipatni ratir nam yashasvini patyur nirdargd dehasya dehotpattim pratikshati. Nirupita Shambharena sasudon dan sadhane Kamadevam Shishum Budhva Chakre Sneham Tadarbake. Now, who was Mayavati? Mayavati was in fact Cupid's renowned wife, Rati. See the connection? Kamadev took birth as Pradyumna. As a baby, he came where Rati was Cupid's wife, and she came as Mayavati in this life. While waiting for husband, of course, this Pradyumna came as a little baby and Mayavati was a grown-up woman. While waiting for husband to obtain a new body, his previous one having been burnt up, she had been assigned by Shambhar to prepare vegetables and rice. Mayavati understood that this infant was actually Kamdev, and thus she began to feel love for him. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this story as follows. When Cupid's body was burned to ashes, Rati worshipped Lord Shiva to obtain another body for Cupid. Shambhar, having also come to Shiva for benediction, was recognized by the Lord first, who told him, "You should now ask for your benediction." Shambhar, struck with lust at seeing Rati, This is all demons. This is all what they do. They just get lusty after seeing any beautiful woman. Replied that he wanted her as his benediction. And Shiva complied. Okay, fine. Lord Shiva then consoled the sobbing Rati, telling her, go with him and in his very home, you will attain what you desire. Thereupon Rati, bewildered, Shambar, with her deluding power and taking the name Mayavati, remained in his house untouched. So many stories go on here. It's amazing. And this is all Krishna's pastimes, all part of Krishna's pastimes. And we think we are somebody who control everything. Everything is controlled by Krishna and his energies. All we have to do, chant. That's all. Serve Krishna, chant his name, hear Krishna Katha. That's all we have to do. Nothing else. Rest everything. Krishna will take care. Don't have to worry about anything. So anyway, I guess we can stop here. Although the story is very interesting, but I have to stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.